video, we are going to address some time management techniques. I will assume you have watched the first video in the series regarding the principles of time management. First, we will cover some techniques that are generally helpful for time management. Then I will attempt to give you some college-specific techniques that may be helpful for any college student. As previously discussed, prioritization and efficiency are central to good time management. This means it is key to know how to decide what is important and what is not. Here I will give you some tools that will be helpful for you in deciding how to prioritize. This first one is a little tool called the ABC rank order method. This is a really helpful way to organize your to-do list. As you can see, first you need to make 3 columns, A, B, and C. Then fill each column with your tasks based on their level of importance. Column A is for things that are extremely important and must be done immediately. Column B is for things that are not immediate but should be completed soon. Finally, column C is for things that you can wait to do. Once you've placed your to-do list into the columns, you obviously should begin working on column A. The next helpful tool is using the important versus urgent matrix. Whoa. I think this technique is more detailed and helpful than the ABC rank order, but may take a little more time to put together. But first you need to categorize your to-do list based on these 4 categories: high urgency, low urgency, high importance, low importance. This is helpful because oftentimes in life it is easy to get pulled into those things that are high urgency but of low importance. You can see in the picture that each area has a Roman numeral of 1 to 4. Clearly, it makes the most sense to put high importance and high urgency as number 1. But notice that high urgency and low importance is number 3. High importance but low urgency comes in at number 2. This matrix emphasizes what is important, not what is urgent. High importance items must come first. I think this matrix is helpful on several levels. It can easily help you define what daily tasks need to be put in what order. However, it also can help you define which long-term goals are important to you as well. So, as an example, maybe you have a hobby that is super important to you, like volunteering your time at a local pound. This is of high importance. However, its urgency level will be lower than writing a paper that is due on Monday. So, although it may be tempting to think, well, this volunteering thing is really important, I need to do it, it may be something that can wait because something else has a deadline that can't be changed. This tip may be the single most important tool in your arsenal. Write everything down. It sounds simple, but it is truly powerful. I like to think of writing things down as essentially utilizing a time travel device. You're sending a message to your future self to remember to do something in the future, like time travel. Writing down things you have to do has several benefits. 1, it gets said thing out of one's head. One no longer has to remember what needed to be done, meaning you can focus on other things. Because of our limited memory capacity, writing things down allows us to know more than we could without writing it down. For example, if I'm going to get groceries, it may be very difficult for me to retain the knowledge of what I need to get when there are 30+ items. However, suddenly all of these pieces of information are instantly in my knowledge bank when they are written down, thus freeing me to do other things more efficiently. The final tool I want to give you is to constantly review the effectiveness of your system. It doesn't really matter if the way that you're organizing is cool because of the colors that you're using or the notebook you choose to carry around with you. If your system doesn't help you remember important things, avoid procrastination, and reach your goals, your system is not working properly. Now that we've talked about some basic prioritization tools, let's talk about time management techniques that will help you as a college student. Most classes have some kind of schedule, which includes, most importantly, when certain things are due. You need to utilize this calendar as you plan out not just the week, but the whole semester. This one may seem fairly obvious to you, but it may not be obvious to everyone. It is important not just to look at the course calendar for each of your courses, but also to know what is on the schedule for each course. You can use the course calendar as you map out what your entire semester will look like. This is the optimal way to use the course calendar. The next tip I suggest is scheduling out your days. Remember that time is something that is fixed and we are constantly choosing how to spend it. If you don't allot time for things, then whatever is in front of you at the time is what you'll do. The scary thing about not scheduling out your time isn't even the unexpected things in life. It's the fact that I may mindlessly choose to scroll through some social media app for an hour just because I didn't have anything previously determined that I would do with that time. If you don't have every moment of your time planned out, you'll be pulled and tossed by the unexpected and by the mundane. So that is why I think it's important to schedule each of your days for the week. I'm talking about scheduling what you will do generally each week. Include class times, eating, exercise, fun time, everything. Just think about how you will spend every hour. And the beauty of a schedule is that you can amend and change the plan based on what happens throughout the day. So when you get done with your classes, you don't have to think, what should I do next and in what order? You've already determined what you will do in what order. So go work out because you know that after that you'll eat and work on school for 3 hours. The next technique is reduce interruptions. There are many studies out there showing the negative impact interruptions have on productivity. One study found that it takes approximately 8 minutes to recover from an interruption. That doesn't even include the interruption itself. I think interruptions are really difficult to avoid in college. A large reason for this is the social component. You need to find a place you can work that will have minimal distractions. It's also really easy to be interrupted from your phone. I find this to be a huge source of not only interruptions but distraction. So take necessary steps to reduce interruptions. The next technique that may be helpful for you is breaking up tasks. For assignments, especially really big ones, it can be overwhelming to even begin. Breaking up a given assignment or task can help you feel less overwhelmed and even contribute to your motivation. If you think, ugh, I have to write an exegetical, you may just avoid the task entirely. However, if you've broken up the steps to writing an exegetical, you may be able to say, well, right now I just need to gather 10 sources for my exegetical. Having the assignment broken up into smaller chunks can also help you feel more productive. I know this kind of thing is especially rewarding to people like my wife. Alright, moving right along. My next tip is be realistic about study time. Let's be real, people. You probably aren't going to spend the whole weekend being super productive and getting everything done. You're going to get to Sunday after binge watching the latest Netflix original series and be like, oh my goodness, is that light? I've forgotten what outside air smells like. And then you're going to be like, well, I guess I'd better get started. And then you'll cry. My point is connected to the idea of allocating and pre-spending your time. If you only want to study for 2 hours on Sunday night, then only allot 2 hours for studying on Sunday night and have the rest of the weekend free. Wow, Mr. Fox, that's so generous of you to let me off the hook. Well, not so fast. If you don't want to do work on the weekend, that means you're going to have to do it somewhere else, at another time, or suffer the consequences. My point is not to avoid work, but just be realistic about how much time you're actually going to spend, and be realistic about how much time it will take to complete the task. Here's a tip that I don't think is often used in time management. However, I think it is powerful. Ask for help. For starters, and most obviously, you may want some accountability for how you're spending your time. Maybe you can ask a friend to check in and see how your studying is going. Or ask a close friend to look at your schedule and see if it's realistic based on what they know about you. You can also ask for help in creating a time management system. Stealing other people's ideas is the best. Teachers do it all the time. Don't judge me. My next technique is to find your most productive time. I think there's a perception in our society that productive people wake up super early and are bright and chipper and ready to go. But there's plenty of research out there that indicates everybody is different, and everybody is different in regards to their most productive times. For some, their most productive time is mid-morning, and for others it is the afternoon, and still for others it's 11 o'clock at night. The point is, you know yourself, and you need to try to fit the most important things you're doing in your most productive time. Now, it's also important to note, especially for you late-night hooligans, that just because you're the most creative and active at midnight doesn't just give you license to stay up until that time. There are outside constraints that affect this. For example, let's say you work best from around 11 p.m. to maybe 1 a.m., but then you have a 7:30 a.m. lab, and you definitely need at least an hour to chill after getting done with school. If my calculations are correct, this means you will be able to sleep for a total of 5 hours. That's not enough time for most people. My point is that even though that is your most productive time, if it is going to destroy your efforts to even get to the class the next morning, it may not be worth it. This is something you have to evaluate for yourself. Alright, next technique. How long do you think the average person can concentrate on schoolwork before productivity and understanding drop? An hour? 2 hours? 5 hours? The answer? 25 minutes. A study was conducted at the University of Michigan in which they asked students to record how long it took in studying before they felt like the content wasn't getting through to them. There's a downward curve that happens to productivity after the 25-minute mark, like a drop-off. But the really cool thing is that all you need is approximately a 5-minute break to recover and be approximately the same level of productive. There's a technique you can look up online called the Pomodoro technique, which helps you focus and take breaks. If you want to utilize your concentration or even incrementally increase your concentration, just look it up on YouTube. I hope you've taken away some practical tips which can help you in your time management endeavors. With each of these techniques, it is important to always keep each of them grounded within the 5 principles I gave you in the previous video. Any technique you use must be grounded in your overarching goals. Always look to these greater long-term goals to inform how you utilize each of these techniques. Finally, remember that you are a unique individual and what works for someone else may not be the best thing for you. As an example, in my own life, my wife is the type of person who has color-coded pens and calendars and lists and all those wonderful things. Some of her techniques have helped me tremendously, but others make me feel confined and overwhelmed. I have to be the one to decide what is helpful and what is not. Thanks for listening. Until next time.